But I just want to go ahead and welcome you all to this information session on the Apogee State Tax Credit Program, which is a great way of, as a Georgia resident or a Georgia business owner, helping families attend an independent school, whereas otherwise they might not have been able to. And this is a crucial program for us as a school. Our school's yearly operations are funded by tuition to about between 90%. And then we have a few other sources of income from our institute that make up about another 6% or 7%. And then 3% come from this program, and it's a crucial 3%. And it's been consistent for us as an organization throughout our history, and it is what helps our organization, part of what helps our organization to be diverse by design, because we believe learning is better in a diverse environment. And we, as a result, are prioritizing 6 or 7 different dimensions of diversity. Those dimensions are age, gender, race, religion, school background, learning differences, and economic diversity. So we have families at the school that can more than afford to pay for our annual tuition, and then we have some families who cannot afford to pay, and then we have everything in between. And this scholarship program is our key lever for helping us achieve the economic diversity that we so value at the school. I mean, as a leader of learning and as a dad and as the head of our school, it is a really important conversation when our learners have these conversations across lines of economic difference, and how they share about what they did over the holiday, how they share about their attire and their wardrobe, how they share about what it is they're eating at school, and how they talk to one another and understand one another's backgrounds and priorities, capabilities or lack thereof. Financially, we think that's actually a really crucial part of the school. And this program is awesome. I personally have participated in it every single year, sometimes as a business owner, and then sometimes, because I have my own S Corp, and then sometimes as a Georgia resident. Either way, I have been able to help families at the Forest School get a scholarship, because I've redirected a portion of my tax burden to go to some families at our school. And that's what I want to invite you to do. Would you consider doing that this year? It's a very competitive process, because, as you would imagine, there are a lot of independent schools and nonprofits in our state that are vying for these dollars. And Mary, my colleague, is going to speak to that in just a minute. But it's important that we sign up, and that we sign up within the next month. And we also, our goal is over 100,000 to have pledged over $100,000. And Mary will get, excuse me, specific into the goal, but we're 14% of the way there right now. So we got a ways to go. So we're looking for owners of businesses to sign up today. We're looking for parents and caregivers who are Georgia residents to sign up today. Guys, even grandparents, friends and neighbors of the school, friends and neighbors of your kids are great candidates, for this program. I'm so grateful for Mary Norman, who's been a collaborator with us in this process for a few years. I call her our opportunity director, because she is basically educating parents and caregivers like yourself about this giving opportunity. And it does take a little education, because I remember the first time I heard it, I was like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, how it's got to cost me something. It's absolutely coming out of my pocket somehow. And it's not. It is really a one-to-one redirect of your tax. So instead of paying the state of Georgia for all of my taxes, I'm still paying the state of Georgia some things, but I'm paying a chunk of what I owe the state of Georgia to the Forest School for for scholarships. And those scholarships are given out based on financial need. And so the way to do that is you go to apogee123.org, and then you sign up, and it takes no time whatsoever. And you just enter in how you're filing as a tax member, and whether you're filing individually or if you're filing as an entity like an LLC or an S Corp or whatever your business is. And then it asks you the amount, and we're asking you to pledge the absolute max amount, because eventually the state's going to come back and say you're not able to give that much. You're able to give, a percentage of that. We're anticipating about 45% of that amount. We'll see, because it's so competitive. But and then what happens is you'll get a letter confirming that you, in fact, were approved to participate in this program. And then you'll have 60 days to go ahead and pay your taxes, pay that small portion of your taxes in advance, for collection. So with that having been said, I want to go ahead and introduce Mary Norman and have her introduce herself and share a little bit about her role, not just this year, but Mary in the past years as well, and kind of what we've been able to achieve, what our goals are for this year. And then Mary, I think you can hand it over to John, who can share some of the nuts and bolts, of this program from a resident standpoint, especially, and then also a business owner standpoint. And then when we're done, we'll open it up for Q&A. And just a friendly reminder to folks who've joined, this is something that's being recorded, and we'll share this back out with our school community for the folks who want to see this but weren't able to join us live. So thank you all for being here. And with that having been said, I'll pass it over to Mary.
All right. Thank you so much. Well, I think I've been doing this now. It's going on 5 years in 2025. And I've seen this program grow every year, more money in the pot, but also more folks that are going after the dollars. So Tyler covered a lot of it, but I wanted to just share with you how it works from a timing point of view. You have to make your pledge in the year prior to the tax year. So 2024, we have to make those pledges by December 15th. For your 2025 tax return when you file that. You do, as Tyler said, have 60 days after you're approved by the Department of Revenue to make those payments. And it will not be the full amount you give because as we said, it's going to be about probably 45% less than you're pledging. So keep that in mind. If you have the ability to give the full amount for individuals, it's 2,500, it's 5,000 for couples. And then when it comes to a business, there are different levels. You can give like up to 25,000 for pass-through shareholders, and then 75% of your tax liability when it comes to LLCs, S corps, and so forth. So we can talk about your individual situation, but sometimes it gets confusing when folks are thinking, well, is it about this year or how does it work? So we work a year in advance. There are lots of benefits, especially on the business side, which we'll talk a bit more about. But although you have 60 days to make your payment after it's approved by the Department of Revenue, if you are a business owner and you're paying quarterly taxes throughout the year, you can actually subtract that amount off of what you're going to be paying throughout the year. So there's not even really any upfront cost for you. As Tyler said, this year, our goal, we're trying to bring in $70,000. So because we're only expecting 45% of that to be approved, we have a big goal, over 100,000, closer to 160,000. And the only way we can do this is by bringing new folks on board. So that's why it's so important, and so important to the school and for those learners to be able to experience what you're able to by providing these scholarships. I'm going to let John Panessa, who is the executive director of the Apogee Scholarship Fund. He is the expert on all things Apogee, to say a few words too and fill in some of the blanks here. John and I work together. If there are specific questions on your particular situation, we'll come together and he'll answer those for you, because there are some nuances in it depending on your business. So John, I'd like to introduce you and let you jump in and kind of fill in, as I said, any areas that I may have missed. Whoops, I think whoops.
There we go. Finally hit the right button.
There you go. Okay.
Hi there, everybody. John Panessa. I'm the executive director of Apogee. Been around for a minute, since about 2008. And watched the program grow through has lots of growing pains, some good, some bad. Right now we're obviously, I know Mary was asking me to fill in blanks. I think you did a fantastic job, though, describing kind of what the program is and how it works. I guess maybe what I'll do is kind of just give you a sense of urgency. So we're, like Mary said, the timing can get a little confusing for folks. I think kind of an easy way, I like the way I look at it, is you're pledging now, you're getting approved in January, you're having to pay by March. And then you're going to be filing this credit next year. When you're filing your 2024 taxes in 2025, you'll be claiming this credit, and it's a dollar for dollar credit against your Georgia tax liability. So whatever dollars you're paying to the state, you can instead pay them to support the forest school through Apogee. and support scholarship opportunities for deserving kids with dollars that you're going to be sending to the state, whether we like it or not. So it's kind of a cool way. I think probably one of the more effective ways to utilize your dollars. Certainly a way, one of the few opportunities you have to take control of tax dollars that you're sending to the state and instead drive them towards something that's important to you and your community, something that's obviously in your children and families. So certainly encourage you to do so. We'll be taking applications through about December 15th. And, so contribute, pledging now is waiting to pledge isn't going to do any good. If you pledge now, you're still going to have that. We're going to submit it in the beginning of January. You're going to get approved. And then in early January, you're going to have to fund by March. So certainly the earlier you submit your application, the better opportunity we have to make sure that your application is going to go through successfully. And just to say, I know we talked a little bit there, we touched on businesses, and I won't go too deep down the rabbit hole unless we have questions, of course, but certainly businesses are a great opportunity to be able to generate some significant dollars if you have business interests, whether it's a C Corp or an LLC or that type of thing, or single membership type, single member LLC, whatever it might be. There might be an opportunity for you to be able to support the school in a significant way and create some tax benefit in some situations beyond just making a contribution. So, there's the only thing better than free money is more free money. So there's some opportunity there. But I will tell you this, probably from a number standpoint, probably about 70% of contributions are given through as individuals or married filing joints. The dollar amounts are bigger on the business side, but the number of people who participate in the program or the tax credit program in general is definitely driven by individual taxpayers. So just I mean, $2,500, $5,000. Those are significant dollars. Those add up really quickly. And obviously there's cash flow, things like that. But, it's what we find a lot of folks who participate in the program, if it's the first time, certainly at the individual or married filing joint level, you kind of taking it on, it's a little more challenging on the front side. You're putting that cash up on the front, but what the great thing is that when it comes around to tax time, you're getting that credit. Oftentimes you're creating a refund scenario. So what we see a lot of folks do is once they get through that first time, kind of first time user experience, they get that refund starts to pay for the contribution costs. So if you can get through that first time and cash flow it, it becomes something you can continue to do each and every year, and really be a powerful have a significant and powerful impact on the school and scholarship opportunities for kids. So definitely I look to the future and see this is an opportunity to be able to do that. And I know we talked about 2,500 and 5,000 and 75% and 25,000, all these big numbers, but any number is a valid number. So whatever number that you are comfortable with, you can certainly do so. We do expect there to be a pretty significant reduction in the approved amount, as Mary kind of intimated, and probably be somewhere in that 50% range. So the nice thing is, hey, if you did contribute, say $2,500, probably going to get approved for $1,400. So if that makes it a little bit more palatable, and nobody's taking your kids if you can't fund that full amount, unless you want them to. But you have an opportunity to certainly reduce your contribution amount if you have to. So we don't want to feel pressured to have this significant commitment. Things are good right now. We think that's something that certainly get involved in. But it's also an opportunity to when time comes and that March deadline rolls around to fund the credit, you have an opportunity certainly to say, hey, you know what, I think my circumstances have changed. I still want to support the school, but that $1,500 is a little steep. Maybe I can do $1,000. That's okay. It's totally fine. And so I want you to feel comfortable that making a pledge, it gives you still have some flexibility in how you want to support the school down the road. So I think we all would much rather you go through the process and have the opportunity to be able to support the school at a level that's comfortable for you when the time comes. Hopefully, obviously we would love for you to be able to support the school at the full approved amount, but at least, I think the most important thing is getting involved in that process, seeing how easy it is, seeing how painless it is, and seeing how it impacts the school and the students. And so, I think we're all looking for return on investment, right? And I think sometimes we look at return on investment from maybe putting money in the stock market or something like that. But this, I think, is a really cool way to have a return on investment on tax dollars. to really have a direct impact on the education of children, and obviously in an environment that's important to you. So, that's kind of my spiel, I suppose you would say. But happy to open it up to questions or touch on anything that maybe you all that maybe I said something that piqued your interest, and I'd love to touch on that more if anybody has any questions.
John, I want to say just one thing too. It's so simple to apply. When you think about an application, we think pages and pages. It's just send you the link. It's just a little bit of information. Probably takes 10 minutes or so to fill it out. And just getting in queue for it, as John said, even if something might happen, we hope it won't, but at least we kind of reserve those dollars for the forest school. So then you can decide after approval about paying. So we'll see if there are questions. And I know that John Mattis was joining us. I don't know if he is able to say a few words too. We were going to talk about some additional benefits for businesses. Are you on, John, still? I know he had to jump in the car, so we'll come back to him. We'll see if there are any questions.
Can you hear me there?
Yep.
Yes.
John Panessa, can you elaborate quickly on the benefits on the federal side for based on the way your company's structured, how that can reduce your federal obligation for business owners?
Sure, absolutely, sure. So really, there's two categories for business owners. One category is your standard pass-through taxpayer. Could be an S corp LLC, where the income that you generate from the business is passed down to the shareholders of the business, and then you pay your Georgia tax liability and that kind of thing. That particular person can contribute. Each shareholder can contribute up to $25,000. So what it allows you to do, like say for a single member LLC, is probably more appropriate typically for this scenario, but let's say you did $25,000 and you're a single member LLC, you could actually fund that through your entity at $25,000, and you're going to get a dollar, or you're going to get a deduction, an expense deduction, if you will, against your revenue. So that's $25,000 less that you're going to pay in federal tax, or $25,000 in income. It's going to be taxed at the federal, at your whatever federal rate you're at, and then you're also still going to get that Georgia dollar for dollar credit. So that's a really cool way to be able. I think a lot of business owners are utilizing that as a way to reduce their taxable income on the federal side. The other opportunity that came about a few years ago is called the pass-through election, the PTE option. And what that really does is it allows pass-through entities, S corps, LLCs, to act like a C corp from a Georgia tax liability standpoint. And what that does is it allows you the opportunity to be able to fund essentially what you're doing when you're doing PTE is you're electing to pay your Georgia tax liability through your entity. So that income doesn't hit you at the personal level anymore. It's all at the entity level. And so you're being able to claim all those tax dollars at the entity level, and doing so, if you're participating in Apogee at up to 75%, you get to treat those dollars in the same manner. So it's an expense deduction against your revenue. You're not paying. You're reducing your taxable income on the federal side, and then of course claiming the credit on the state side, but at the entity level, and then you're not getting hit with that at the personal side. So those are two methods that you can utilize. Either the PTE option combined with the Apogee, or just the straight up Apogee credit at the pass-through level, to create an opportunity to reduce federal taxable income where you may not otherwise be able to do so. We have a $10,000 SALT cap that we all have to adhere to, which basically is SALT cap is your state and local property tax, basically. And what that does is says, hey, you have $10,000 of deduction that you can take on the federal return for any expenses from the state. Expenses being defined as property tax and tax liability. So if you've got a house and your property tax bill is $10,000 and you got a $10,000 Georgia tax liability bill, without doing something like the pass-through entity opportunity or the standard pass-through opportunity, you're looking at a situation where you're only getting to claim $10,000 on your federal return. That other $10,000 you normally would have been able to deduct, you're paying tax on that. So if you're in the 25% tax bracket, that's a $2,500 hit at the federal side. So this Apogee is a really cool way to be able to utilize this credit structure to be able to reduce tax burden on the federal side and support school at the same time, which is, it's a win-win, if you will.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah, I participated as an S corp for several years. I think I'm on my fifth or sixth year now, and it's really an amazing program. And with this latest modification, you actually lose money as a business owner by not participating. It is really too good to be true.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. Usually, once people say this is too good to be true, that means that they finally get it. Like, because it really does seem to be that way. You get to reduce tax burden, redirect taxes, and support scholarship opportunities at your school. So it really is it's one of those times when it seems too good to be true, but it really isn't. So I'm glad you've had that experience, and I appreciate you sharing your story.
Any other questions that anybody has? As John was saying, so many of our donations are coming from individuals, and looking at our goal, we need to have about 64 folks donating to try to hit the goal that we need to in order to take that 45% reduction that we're expecting. So it's so important that we expand those that are giving, whether it's your neighbors or people part of your faith community or others that, can do this. Most people don't know about it. It's still one of the best kept secrets. When I talk to folks about it, they're like, you're kidding me. You can really do that. So if you will share this with others, we would greatly appreciate it and just get the word out, because we think everybody, if they really understood it, would want to take advantage of it.
Yeah, and that's well said. And I think the way to look at this is, I know a lot of times people say it's, fundraising and you feel like you're asking people for money. The cool thing about this program is certainly because of the business opportunities, especially, it's really just an education. It's hey, did you know about this? This is a way you can be able to save tax. So, everybody likes to talk about saving money, certainly. So I think it makes it an easier conversation with your network if you're so inclined to do so. And you don't have to have all the answers to all the questions. Certainly, we could be a resource. Mary, obviously, Tyler, and myself, we're happy to be a resource to answer those more difficult questions. But yeah, certainly, I think if you approach it, if you were so inclined to go out there and communicate this opportunity to your friends and network, I see that coming from the perspective of education, of hey, this is a really cool thing. Do you know about this? I think it's a little easier, a little more palatable than to be like, another fundraising, like, hey, you want to buy wrapping paper,
Right.
So it's a little easier conversation, I think, certainly, and I think you'll find that people will appreciate that conversation, certainly if they have businesses and they're looking for ways to reduce tax liability and being philanthropic at the same time. So
It's great. Well, I just want to give some gratitude as we close here. John Mattis, thanks for sharing your experience and some ideas about how to do this program well for our school. John Panessa, great to see you. Thanks again for hopping on. If any of y'all want to connect your accountant with John, John's always willing to do that. We can put you in touch. Just let us know. Many thanks to Mary. Y'all, Mary's on the phone. She's meeting with people in person. She's getting the word out. If you want to introduce Mary to anyone in your circle that might also want to help us with this at the school, please do. That could be a grandparent of a learner at school, could be a neighbor, could be someone you work with, could be anybody who is a potential friend of the school. Please feel free to introduce us, and Mary would be happy to have a conversation and kind of coach them along. Before we hop, any final thoughts, Mary or John?
No, I hope that we've been able to kind of give you more clarity on it, but again, happy to answer any other questions. So just thank you for your time today.
Great. Yeah. Thank you all. We're going to be sharing this video widely after this is over. Y'all enjoy the rest of your day.